Hello, my name is Kelly Bluen. Welcome to my mini mandala series. In these videos, I show you how to make little mandalas beginning with a coin. So I have a penny here. Any round circular coin or object will do. I've also got my micron pen, a graphite pencil, a blending tool called a tortillon, and then also you need a little piece of scrap paper. Let me grab one. Okay, so a little piece of scrap paper that we're going to use like a ruler. All right, and then I'm just using a 5" by 5" sketchbook. So anything that you have will work. All right, so I'm going to begin by tracing the coin in the middle of my paper. I love starting with a nice clean circle. Then I'm going to pick up my pencil and I'm going to draw a grid. And to make a grid, I'm going to make a line across the center, a horizontal line. And then I'm going to make a vertical line. And I do not use rulers or compasses for this. I just go by sight. I just try to guess and hope it looks good. If you are someone who likes a perfect circle and perfect lines, then please feel free to use rulers and compasses, but I don't know. I kind of like how these look just doing them by hand. Okay, then I'm going to take my scrap paper and I'm going to put it at the top of my circle. And I want to make a line maybe a little bit bigger than the width of my pencil. So right about there. And I'm going to put it on my scrap paper and onto my regular paper. Then I'm going to do another one about the same width. Okay. Oh, and then I forgot, we need to divide up these corners. So same idea, we're just going to divide it in half, and I just check to see if these look like they're about even. If not, I can adjust my line if I want to. Again, just kind of checking to see if they're fairly close to even. Okay, back to my scrap paper. So I'm going to put it at the edge of my circle again and draw some little lines. And some here. And this is going to be our guide for making our circle, our outer circles. Okay, now I just connect those with a slight curve. I like to make little tiny lines when I draw. I feel like I get more control. All right, there's our first circle, and then we need an outer one. And at this point, if you start seeing that these sections are getting more obvious, that ones that are larger than others or need to be adjusted, now's the time that you can adjust a line. Okay. All right, I'm going to pick up my pen now. And I thought we would play a little bit today with circles and with a shape called Flux. In the Zentangle community, it's called Flux. So we're going to play a little bit with those two things. So I'm going to put in a circle at the top of my first circle, and it's going to take up about half of each of those spaces. So like that. I'm going to do one over here. So I'm just doing it on the top, the bottom, and the two sides. Putting in those little circles. It's okay if they're not perfect circles. Okay, so a flux shape looks like this or like this. So this is the one that we're going to play with. So it's basically just an upside down teardrop, but then for the second side, you're just gonna tuck in a little bit. Okay? So I'm going to use this space right here on the side of my circle, between the circle and this next line. And I'm gonna start at the bottom and I'm gonna come around, put in that curvy top and come back down. Then I'm just going to turn my paper and I'm going to do the same thing on this next one. So I'm coming from the bottom and I'm going to curve up and touch that center line and then come back over here and curve it down. So it's kind of a unique shape we're playing with, but I like how it sort of hugs that circle. And it's okay if some of these, like look at this one's going to be really wide and this one's going to be really thin. That's okay. This is all about the process and just breathing and enjoying this time to draw. And we're not going to be super worried if things are not quite exact. All right, so I'm going to curve around and down. Right now I'm just doing that right-hand side of each of these. And when you get the right side done, we're going to do the left side. So I'm going to come from that bottom of that circle again, and I'm going to curve all the way out to that line and then come in and just kind of give it a little hug. So I'm scooping up and over and down. And I kind of want these two to end up touching at that center line. So scoop around and up and back down. Doesn't that look neat? This is gonna sound silly, but this came to me in a dream. So I think my alarm went off a few days ago in the morning before work. And once the alarm goes off, I've got about 10 minutes with my snooze button. And I was thinking about Zentangling and drawing and doodling. And all of a sudden I came up with like a circle and kind of hugging it in these flux shapes. So it's kind of funny what comes to you in dreams. All right, how'd yours turn out? I hope you like it. All right, now I'm gonna go on top of this circle and I'm gonna come all the way down to where the circle meets those little flux shapes. And I'm gonna curve up and I'm gonna curve up from this side and make this little petal. And I'm going to do the 4 sides again, the top, the bottom, and each of the 2 sides. So I'm coming from right down where those two connect, and up, where those two connect, and where those two connect. And then these other 4 areas, these little corners, I'm going to, the bottom of this one is as wide as the circle, but this one, we're going to come right down here where these two little flux shapes meet, and we're going to come up. So it's going to be more of a point and a point, not wide and a point. So like a pointy oval. All right, this is a lot of round shapes. Sometimes we do very straight shapes. Today's very round. Okay, so now I want to fill in these other areas here, and I'm going to focus on these four sides again. So from this one up here, I'm going to fill in this space with another flux shape, but it's going to be the opposite of the one underneath it. So this one curved this way. This one is going to curve up and over this way. Okay, so watch how I do that. I start in this corner and I'm going to leap up, touch that side, and then come in. I hope this is not too complicated. So this one went up to the left, this one's going up to the right, and I'm touching the top, touching that little side, and then tucking back in. So to the right of that top piece. And I'm going to turn, and I'm going to go to the right of this piece over here. So I'm going to come up, touch the top, touch the side, and then I'm going to curve in. Up, top, side, and curve in. Top, side, curve in. Top, side, curve in. And then we're going to do the left side. So we're going to do the opposite. So underneath it, it curved up to the right. This one's going to curve to the left. So I'm going to start in that little bottom area there, and I'm going to go up, touch the top, the side, and curve in. Do all the rest of those spots. So curving the opposite of the one we just did. All right, I think that looks really, really fun. I love how complicated it looks. Okay, now I'm going to go to those four sections again. So here's the top one, and I'm going to put little circles in this area between that petal and that little flux shape on each side. So I'm just going to put in a little circle there. This one's a bigger circle because I've got more space. And then I turn. So I go to this side one here and I put a circle on this side. And I'm touching that outer line. It's kind of filling in that space. Each side. It's so fun to come up with a new idea that we haven't already done. And this is definitely one of those. I love how this looks. Okay, I'm going to aura the outside, which means I'm just going to put a line like beside the other lines. See how I'm just giving it like an outline, but it's out a little ways. I love adding these auras to the outside of my mandalas. Just sort of brings the whole piece together. Okay. All right, now that we have made that, we have lots of options for filling things in. I'm going to grab my eraser of my pencil and I'm going to erase these lines. Just don't really think we need those anymore. Okay. I love this one. I really love this one. Okay, so now I'm just gonna fill some things in with what I think looks good or looks pretty, but please fill yours in with whatever you would like. So I noticed like this little thing that looks like a curved square around that circle. I love that. But I'm going to put little circles in each of those four corners. So I'll put a little circle in there and there. Just keeping with that theme. And then I'm going to ink in the space that is left around each of those little circles. That looks so good. All right, and then on that inner circle, I'm going to put an aura on the inside. So just a smaller circle. And then I'm going to put a little reflection in mine and just leave it plain for right now. So these little flux shapes, my favorite thing to do in a flux is a line, like a curved line and a dot. So on both sides of that circle, a curved line and a dot. And I'm going to do it again on the top ones, a curved line. And my curve is following the curve of that shape. So these ones kind of curved up this way, these ones are going to curve out that way. And I'm going to continue all the way around. If there's something else you would like to do in those little petals, please go ahead. All right, I'm going to go out to these four like leafy patterns. There are so many options. You can put a line down the center and add like a leaf pattern to it. You could put in some striping. I mean, there's so many things you could do. What I'm going to do, just to try to be different, is I'm going to start at this little bottom corner and I'm going to add these little curves that follow the shape of that circle. So I'm just going to go like this. And I'm going to keep going all the way to the top. Again, if you want to make yours into a leaf, or maybe you want to aura the inside and then do a little pattern, there's so many things you can do. I just kind of like the roundness of this circle here, and I think it's kind of fun to continue that round line all the way up into the end. I like how that looks. All right, I'm going to do a similar thing in these four corner ones that are really narrow and pointy on both ends. I'm going to go to the bottom. I'm going to put in this little tiny loop, and then I'm just going to keep doing that. So it's very similar to these ones over here. Little loop in the bottom, and then just keep auraing. I feel like I could make this mandala 10 times and make it different every single time. I don't even know where the top is anymore. Here we go. Just by changing what I put inside each of these little shapes. Okay, so I've got these 4 empty circles right here. Again, there's so many things that you can do. I think I'm going to leave mine open and just put in that little reflection like I did in here. And I'm going to do the reflection on that right hand side. I'm not even going to turn my paper. I'm just going to let that reflection be on that same side of each of these. But you can do what you want. All right, and then I really like this dark area with the tiny circles. So in between, so where this little pointy oval thing is, I've got these little spaces left over on each side. I'm going to put in a little circle, and then I'm going to ink in the space that is left. This one has room for a bigger circle, and then I'm going to ink in that extra space. And then underneath these larger circles on each side of the flux, I'm going to ink in. I'm not going to add another circle under there, but I'm just going to ink it in. Okay, so I go to that next section, these 2 little fluxes here, and I've got these little spaces. Put in a circle, and a circle, ink those in. And then ink in under these big circles. Little circle, ink in the areas around it. And ink in under these ones. All right, one more section. Circle, circle on each side. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I love to repeat. So part of the joy in making mandalas is that you're repeating the same line or the same shape over and over again. But I also love to repeat elements. So this one was really just these circles and these little flux shapes. And what a fun thing that we made just using those two basic things. Okay, I'm gonna add some shading and then we are done. So I got my little Zentangle brand graphite pencil. This is just a number 2 pencil, so any number 2 pencil you have laying around will work, okay? All right, I'm going to take all of these flux shapes and I'm going to put a little bit in that bottom little area there. So I'm going to do all of these. I'm just going to go all the way around kind of quickly, just tucking some graphite into that bottom area where that little line goes in. And then take my little blending tool and I carefully push that up and into that petal shape. But leaving that top area nice and white. Just giving the illusion of a little shadow as this tucks in. How pretty that looks. Then I'm going to take my pencil and just put a tiny bit on each side of these 4 corner ones and these 4 that are the top and the bottom and the sides. So I'm just putting a little bit of graphite on each side. And then take your blending tool and we're just going to soften those a little bit. And look at how it makes those edges look darker and the top is lighter, or that middle is lighter. And so these look rounded now. They've got a 3-dimensional feel to them. Look at that. Then I'm going to take my blending stump that already has some graphite on it, and I'm just going to give a little bit of a dark edge to the opposite edge of those reflected areas. And then I'm going to put a little bit in these little outer circles. And that's it. That is a beautiful little mandala. So fun to play with different shapes. I love how they look like they're kind of tucking in and weaving into each other. And if your spots, these little small spots, feel like they have too much graphite, you can always go back in with your eraser and kind of touch them up a little bit. So sometimes I know people say, mine feels like it's got too much graphite. Just take your pencil, give it a little clean area there. And then I always like to initial my work. And I date it at the bottom and I write 1 or 2 sentences about what's going on in my life. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you loved it, and we'll see you next Monday. Bye-bye.